Hello and welcome to Xena, Warrior Podcast. My name is Vera, and I'm joined, as always, by my two devout co-hosts.
Ooh, well chosen.
Katie.
Hi.
And Livy.
Hi.
Today we are talking about Sacrifice Part 1.
Dun dun dun.
What's gonna happen, guys?
Spoiler alert, there's a part 2.
Whoa! Which may be referenced. Just FYI, everyone.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who knows?
Could come up.
Yeah. But let's begin with Patreon.
Patreon.
Where's that Atlantis?
Yes, come on, give me my beats, my Alana's beats. I don't really know if they're beats under
I don't
thank
know.
you.
Thank you.
Dun, something kind of new agey, season 4.
Oh, no, I don't have that.
Thank you, Robin Godfrey. Thank you, William.
Woo!
That's it. That's it. That's it.
Thank you,
Awesome.
guys.
Thank you so much, guys.
All right, so let us dive right in. 321, Sacrifice Part 1, written by Steve Sears and directed by David Wary Smith.
Who's this?
Yeah, who is this?
Who dis?
David Ware Smith. He's new to Xena. This is actually his only Xena episode. What a strange one to have, like, a new guy who only comes in and does the first half of your season finale.
Yeah, it didn't seem like there was drama or anything. I guess he just was like, never mind.
It seems like maybe it would have been a difficult shoot because it was mostly location stuff. Like, they were outdoors for, like, this whole entire episode.
Mm-hmm. I liked it. I like this episode. I'm just going to say it right now.
Oh my god, shocking opinion! A major episode of Xena. We like it!
All right, so this episode begins with like a temple.
It's a little unexpected, this opening.
Yeah.
At least one aspect of it is a little unexpected. The decision to have the witness to Callisto's return via little pig.
Steve Sears, I believe, was making a reference to Porcules.
Ah, yes, everybody's favorite Porcules.
Yes, everybody's favorite piggy.
So this is the same pig from Porcules?
I don't know if it's the same.
Is it like,
I don't think
when they like an actor on Hercules,
yes,
they're like, we'd like you to be
previously
on Xena.
this pig was seen on Hercules. So yeah.
I saw a few different commenters on the pig, kind of interpreting it as the first of the many maybe sacrifices in this episode called Sacrifice.
Right.
You think this pig is going to be an offering to the newly reborn goddess Callisto, that she's just going to zap it and eat some barbecue. But she does not.
Yes.
She does not zap. She points her little finger and just says, go away.
Right.
She spares it.
Callisto emerges from that other world, quote unquote, from Hercules, where she was
Stashed in the Sovereign's
Yes.
portal. We haven't talked about Armageddon now yet.
So, yeah.
So, spoilers for that episode we have yet to record.
Yeah. They'll sort of like have a one line in this episode dealing with that, explaining like what sort of went down. But anyway, she's like literally pulls herself out of this portal and is now back in our world. The pig is there.
What did you guys think of the kind of like physicality of her pulling herself out of the portal?
I think out of all of the Callisto eps so far, and maybe ever, she is just so extra physicality in this one. Like extra. Like, everything
She's
is
so
moving.
like sinuous.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's a good
she's
word.
like undulating almost. It is like like her fingers, she does like I don't even know how to describe it, like with just like moves her fingers and they're like a perfect
Dancery kind of a thing.
This is how Callisto moves as a god.
That's true, yeah. I mean, maybe
No,
it makes
I don't
sense.
know.
She's more in touch with her body now.
Yeah, or
She does
she's more
way more
comfortable.
yoga.
Oh, I mean, I think that's what's really going on. But I think like maybe she's like more comfortable like in her godly ways, like previously, you know. She
I
was
think that's
new.
true. She has more powers this time.
Yeah.
So I think she's kind of grown into the role.
Right.
I really love this little gesture she does when she comes out of the portal. She lays her hand like on her clavicle. She sort of like massages it, like it bothers her. It's this sort of nervous gesture, but also just really weird.
Well, Callisto's back, and I'm very happy to see her. She does not kill a pig, as mentioned.
The only person she's interested in killing this episode
is herself.
is herself.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that little nervous gesture where she rubs her clavicle, that to me is indicative of her weird
Right.
mental state.
Yes, I'm already saying that I'm so down for this mental state of Callisto.
Yes, this is a good mental state for
Yeah.
Callisto.
Her
Oh, yeah.
physicality equals her mental state.
I think
equals
so.
a weird energy
Uh-huh.
that just radiates off her.
Yeah.
So cool.
Towards Xena.
Well,
Okay.
And towards us.
yeah.
Yes.
And also that little pig, there are these reaction shots of it, like looking at her, like looking happy, kind of like, eh! And me, you guys, that's me seeing Callisto, that little pig.
Did you scamper away like the pig?
I
did?
mean, if she pointed her finger at me and said, go
do yoga.
I would run.
Okay.
To
do yoga.
To do my best downward facing dog.
All right, so the next, the subtitles for the next scene started with tribal drumming.
Okay.
And we have a lot of like half naked, less clothes than even the Furies kind of
This
situation.
is a little disorienting, this part. Well, number one, there's like boobs just flying at you, which is fine. But also it seems like the costuming for these people has been just borrowed from the Amazon. So at first you
Right.
like think that they're Amazons, but then their masks are way different, right?
Very different masks.
But they kind of have that same straw coming off
Right.
them.
Because probably they started off as
As
those
Amazon.
Amazon masks.
They had a first life.
Yeah. So they're dancing around. There's a lot of that. There's like dudes watching it.
Yeah, what is this ritual? Like all the ladies in this cult do sexy dance and the
Yeah.
dudes wear Ku Klux Klan hoods and watch? Is that
Right.
how this cult works?
Apparently. And then they sacrifice one of them.
Yeah.
A blood sacrifice.
Meanwhile, Xena and Gabrielle are watching them. And
Also watching.
they both look really good.
They do.
These
They were- they both
finale
look
looks
really
are
into it.
like, you know it's the finale.
Because they look the best.
so good.
Yes. Yes. And we find out that one of these people in this cult, or in this situation, I guess. Are we already at the place where this is a cult? Just because of the dancing and the
we're
weird
judging
outfits?
it as a cult because like that just weird gender thing
Yeah,
happening.
like the weird dudes. One of them has an insane mustache. Like, you already are like, that's not right.
What's your name for him, Vera?
Mustachioed man?
Mustachio.
Yeah. One of these girls is Gabrielle's childhood friend, Seraphin.
Yeah. Let's talk about how people from Podadia are now sending Gabrielle letters asking for help.
Right, her mom was like, oh my gosh.
Seraphin's mom.
Get my daughter out of this cult.
I find that fascinating
I do
that
as well.
people know what Gabrielle is up to and they're sending her messages knowing they can help with weird situations.
Yeah.
That's cool.
They
That's
don't
fun.
ever, like, use this again,
No, they
right?
do not.
Although it could have been great. They could have been, I mean, I guess, like, how's that different from, like, Burger King being like, hey, help me out?
No,
with this?
it's just nice because it's something for Gabrielle.
Right.
People do that kind of thing for Xena all the time. The idea that somebody would reach out to Gabrielle being like, we hear you help people, can you help us? It's too bad. She should have gone back to Podadia next time and had like, oh, hi, thanks
I
for
know.
doing that in this episode, and thanks for doing that in that
Right.
episode.
It kind of reminds me of, Black Wolf's mom.
Yeah, I was like, this
Yeah.
total Flora vibes where you're like, no way, you two did not hang out. Not buying it. I buy it maybe a little more with Seraphin.
The cult leader starts saying something after this dance is over, and we can't hear it. We can see that he's talking. Xena, however, can read lips, sort of.
That's a cool new thing she does,
Because she
right?
has many skills. Yeah. So she kind of can tell that, well, he's saying something about the return of a goddess, and we need to build temples for her to prepare the way.
The way.
Not yet.
Not that way.
Not yet.
This is a bad way.
And it immediately you're like, well, we just had, a goddess, Callisto, emerge into this episode.
Right.
Clearly he's talking about that.
Putting two and two
Yeah.
together.
Seems reasonable.
Right. Then we have our introduction to Seraphin. She comes out. She's very, happy.
What do you think of her Luke?
So when we first watched this, all right, so Seraphin, I mean, she has very short, bleach blonde hair.
She does indeed.
And it's kind of a little curly.
Yeah, it's like a messy situation. When we first watched this, Katie, I remember you going like, oh, she's the gateway to the pixie cut.
Yeah.
It's like Gabrielle is staring both into her past, because Podadia, and also her
into
future.
She has a quality to me in the face and hair where she seems like she stepped out of a beach blanket 60s movie.
She does.
Like, there's something,
Yeah.
like, just not quite
a little
of
gidgety.
the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just, it has a quality. Like, sometimes we talk about those guys who look like they come out of, like, the Spartacuses of the 60s. This lady looks like that to me.
Yeah. What do we think of her acting?
You know.
She's there.
It's passable.
Yeah, I think it's passable.
I don't think
there are
she's
moments
horrible.
where it worked for me and moments where it worked less.
Is she better than Flora?
She's definitely better than Flora.
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely a better character than Flora. It's not really fully fleshed out. Like, I came away from these episodes with a lot of questions about, like, what Seraphin's deal is. Mm-hmm. But, you know, it does a good job being what it is.
Yeah, I never really buy that they are long-time friends, which I think is...
I thought they were friends, like, at a certain time of their life, and then, you know, they went separate ways.
They were 5 or something.
Right, but
I mean, that's what she says.
Yeah.
She says, I've known her since she was 5. But maybe
but
it
there's,
was
like,
like,
5
I
people in Portodea.
babysat her a few times, and I was like the weirdo loner, and
What?
she was like...
They're like the same age.
I got the sense from the way she was like, I've known her since she was 5. That meant that Gabrielle was
also 5.
older.
She could be 6.
When I was 6, she was 5.
You know? I don't know. It was a weird line, yes, but it's a small town, you know,
Yeah.
a small village.
Right, everybody
It's like
knows
everybody
everybody.
knows everybody, yeah.
What?
I just think that's a little bit of a stumble, where I don't really feel like they were ever friends. But they could just be, like...
And
no
also,
longer,
she clearly dropped her for...
She dropped everything.
For Purd. And then she dropped him for Xena.
Yeah.
As a chick.
That might be, yeah, she might have been one of those people who, like, you know, has close female friends and then, like, gets to a certain age and they all disappear. And then gets to another age and
then
they
they reappear.
But, I mean, even though I totally agree with you, Katie, that, like, I don't sense any intimacy between them at all, I do like that I feel like she's been cast because of a certain, you know, physical similarity to Gabs.
Oh,
like,
there's a lot of
you
that.
look
Yeah.
at her, you don't necessarily look at her and say, oh, this is somebody Gabs cares about. You look at her and go, oh, funhouse, mirror, Gabs.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely. That's one of the themes in this episode, for sure. The two sides of, like, the same Gabs.
Yeah, the many sides of Gabs. Yeah. The many faces of Gabs. Hero with 1,000 faces of Gabs.
Seraphin emerges and is kissed by this cult leader, and then she gets the mask put on her. Gab's like, what is she doing?
Gabs is judging her.
Well, it's, like, very confusing. And she climbs this ladder, like this very elaborate, like, altar that's very high up.
And it's covered in horns.
Well, I mean, it is. It's like you see them, but you don't at this
Yeah.
point.
They're not featured
Yeah, they're
until
not
they
featured.
mean to be featured.
Yes,
Though
exactly.
I believe the camera does drift past a human skull, which is a good clue.
It's definitely a sign that something's up here. Also, like, the way that they are going to sacrifice her is, like, they have to hold her arms with these, like, sticks so she doesn't
I think
move
they
her
were
hands.
like little horns.
Yeah.
More horns. It was a little Jesus-y.
If Jesus was being held by, like, crescent
Horns.
moons.
Yeah, but you know, whenever you did the pose with the spread eagle.
Yes, this is opposite Jesus.
Opposite
it's
Jesus,
Satan.
because it's Satan. More horns.
Yeah, and so, well, I mean, yeah, I guess you're right. They are going to, like, spear her like Jesus. So there you go. Mm-hmm. At that point, when the spear comes out, so does Xena's chakram. So she chakrams the spear in half, and then Seraphin, like, falls down.
Yeah, all the way down.
Yeah.
Poor girl.
One of my favorite shots is Xena catching the chakram, like, mid-run.
Yeah, it's like from behind her, sort of.
I guess, to me, it looked like how it was done is, like, Lucy threw it up, and as it was coming down, like, because it looked like it was coming straight down. But she, like, caught it and was, like, running with it. It was really cool. I feel like we don't really get that often.
That's true. Usually she has to, like,
She's
stand in
she's
place.
staying
It's very, like,
still.
stationary.
Yeah, with somebody throwing it at her.
Yeah.
So it was cool. I like that. Less cool is the shot of, like, her double running full on towards the camera in, like, the next shot.
Yeah.
This show does not, I mean, well, I feel like you don't notice that as often.
Right, because
So
it's always, like, from the
when it stands
back
out
or
when you
something,
do,
like, from the side. This was, like, her face
This
was
is her
here.
devil's face just running at us.
Meanwhile, Gabs is like, Seraphin, come with me! And just, like, across, like, this fight And I love that Seraphin just kind of looks at her like, what? Ew.
I know.
I think she's confused.
She hasn't even,
Yeah.
Gabs hasn't even introduced herself. She hasn't been like, I'm Gabs from Potadia. She's just like, hey.
Should she recognize her?
She absolutely recognizes
Yeah,
her.
she
and
does.
is confused that
Like,
she's
why are
there.
you
Yeah,
here?
why are
Yeah.
you here? Why are you telling me to go with you? That's weird. Xena, cuts down a cultist who, jumps at her, out of a tall rock or something. And, it's, such an intense kill face. She just has this, huge, grimace going, grrr.
She has a lot of great faces in here.
Yeah.
Again.
And a lot of great fights. This episode is full of fights.
I do think she, mirrors, what's going on with Callisto, in her own face.
That's interesting. Yeah, because
Yeah.
we're about to have Callisto doing the
Right.
murdergasm, our favorite.
Right.
And, yeah, here's Xena's own little murdergasm.
So I loved this moment. Xena rounds the corner and just full on comes upon
There she
Callisto
is.
with a mustachio and his throat is slit.
Yeah, just already.
That's true.
Yes.
She already had the murdergasm.
Yes. It was just a very shocking thing for Xena because she didn't see the teaser of this episode. She doesn't know Callisto's technically back.
Right.
So it's
now
like-
she knows who the
yeah.
goddess is.
Yeah, exactly. But it's also, boom, you're confronted with Callisto. That's some hardcore shit. And it's a silent scene. There's no dialogue. And Callisto, has just killed this guy and, poofs away with him. So Xena rejoins Gabrielle and explains the situation. And we have a little bit of an exposition going.
Though it's, totally the wrong version of
Right.
the situation. She thinks Callisto is this goddess. The worshippers that she's amassing. Gabs kind of speculates. She's like, could Callisto end up like any of the other
I love that
Olympian
line.
gods?
This is where Xena, she's saying it because it seems like the most logical thing, but
Yeah.
then immediately
She's
knows
like,
Callisto so well that
Yeah.
she
She's
says,
it's not like her.
this is
Yeah, I
it. There's
love that.
something else.
That's
Yeah.
not like her.
Yeah.
She knows
Organized religion.
something else is going on. Yeah.
So what's Callisto up to? She apparates into a cave, and you hear some crazy noises. As the subtitle said, some squelching.
I would say there's a little bit of squawking also. Squelching and squawking.
To me, it sounds more like Renee recording herself going,
Oh my God.
When she's really angry.
yeah.
She's waiting for lunch and she's just like, "Ugh."
I find the sound design of what we'll call cocoon thing right now, I guess,
Yes.
absolutely gross. If you listen to it in your headphones, it's like you can feel
Yeah.
the horrible tactile experience that this thing is. And it's great, but at the same time, I'm like, ooh. It's
very unnerving, and I like it that way.
I like it too. It's just very, gross.
Also, the camera work is great in that you don't get a good look at it for a while. You see you hear these noises, and you see just enough slime in the corner of the frame to tell you this is something gross. So I think that was well done.
So Callisto has brought Mustachio with her.
Don't you mean anti-Callisto?
Yes, and she brought this present to Pumpkin.
To Pumpkin, yes, that's what we should call the cocoon. Callisto's Pumpkin.
This guy was the priest of the flesh. This is important.
Okay.
Yes.
All of these bits that get slowly laid out in terms of the cult or religious group, whatever is happening, all very confusing. So many terms, so
Yeah.
many places,
Yeah.
so many
It's
phrases.
very organized.
It's
I
so
would say.
organized, kinda, yeah. They
When
all
did
know what
they-
they're doing.
Yeah, they have scripture,
But we
guys.
don't.
Yeah, they do
that's
have scripture.
Full-blown scripture.
I guess in between maternal instincts and now they've had 8 episodes to
organize.
draft some
yeah.
stuff.
Meanwhile, Xena has sent Gabrielle away with Argo, rounds another corner, and there's Ares
Up a tree.
up a tree.
He's literally up a tree. Why?
I don't know. My note says, because this episode's not busy enough,
Ah.
we need Ares.
It's very busy. That is a good word.
Yeah.
These episodes are busy.
Very busy.
I don't think necessarily in a bad way, but it can be a little hard to keep
Yeah.
up sometimes.
Well, I think if you were just watching it, you're
Yeah,
so
you're just-
immersed in it
Yeah.
that you don't quite notice it.
Ares in particular, I think, has a really busy character
Look.
arc.
His
Oh,
look.
well,
His hair.
yes.
Very busy.
Very busy.
The Luke is a lot. The hair is down to the shoulders.
This is peak
Yeah, this is just, and we're first introduced to it up a tree, so you're just kind of like, what is that? But no, I think his character arc, like every scene, if you notice, he has just a completely new tactic.
Yeah.
Like whatever, he just turns up and has a completely different picture of what he wants and what is going on.
Right.
So it's, you have a lot thrown at you as a viewer, scene to scene.
I get Ares in this episode big time. Right now, he's questioning if Xena noticed Callisto wearing a little pendant.
So he knows that
the
Hope
Hercules episode
is actually involved in this. Right, he was in the Hercules episodes, so of course he knows.
I don't think he knows about Hope yet.
He's acting like he doesn't know, but does that mean he doesn't know?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I mean, here he makes it sound like Callisto's the big bad. He says that she's starting a dynasty, which was a strange take on things.
Yeah, I mean, he is threatened by everything that isn't like the order that he knows, right?
Yeah.
So he's an Olympic god, so he's like, I'm privileged. And Callisto's new money. So he's a little bit concerned about her having worshippers, her having any kind of...
the old gods and the new gods.
Right, so he's not really into that. And then he's like really not into Dahak, which we already know from like the previous episodes.
From the Deliverer, all the way back there.
Yes, that makes him the most upset.
You guys have seen the Hercules episodes.
Yes.
How you think that they're not crucial to watching these at all? Because sometimes from when I'm sitting here watching it, it feels like it would help.
I mean, it would help in the sense that all of these rules, not all of them, but some of them are laid down in Hercules. All the stuff with the hind's blood and the dagger, that happens in Hercules. So you have that. But in this episode, that's a MacGuffin. You know, they need that to kill a god. That's really all you need to know.
Yeah, okay.
I think this episode plays up its connection to Hercules to kind of make you go, oh, I need to watch that show Hercules. Clearly, it was integral to this, but I don't really think it is. And in fact, I mean, it's been a while since I've seen Armageddon. As I've said, we have yet to actually record the podcast where we'll talk about it for you guys. I don't think the continuity is actually all that great. I don't think they match up that well. There's all sorts of things in Armageddon now where you're like, what?
Right, I agree.
Like, 8-year-old Hope is in it, even though she got poisoned.
Right.
And that's kind of never exactly
she, like, burnt
explained.
up.
She was burnt up, but then she kind of, like, appears again, just on top of the
she's ashy.
the tomb, being like, oh yeah, I'm ashy, but I'm fine now. And then she, at the end, I think she's still fine. She's not in a cocoon being...
Yeah, we don't know how she got.
So yeah, it's just one of those things where it's actually very incoherent.
Okay.
Like, I admire the confidence, I guess, of the Xena writers that they're like, we're gonna pull together everything from season 3 and these Hercules episodes too. Like, it's impressive. And Steve Sears here is writing part 1 of Sacrifice. Part 2 is written by Paul Robert Coyle, who wrote those Hercules episodes.
Okay.
So there is some continuity here, but I think it's just the kind of thing where you have 2 different writers' rooms, 2 different sets of priorities. It just doesn't actually track if you lay it together.
Gotcha. Thank
so
you.
You're not missing anything, but it'll be interesting for you to see
I'm excited to see it.
Yeah.
Xena literally explains, Callisto killed Strife with the dagger laced with hind's blood. And you're like, oh, hind's blood kills a god. Like, that's important.
That was such an expose. Like, you feel that when you're watching it, and you're like, ooh, she barely spit that one out.
Like, even if we weren't taking notes for the podcast, you'd feel like you have to take notes just to understand what's going on.
That seemed important.
So I think that Ares right now is mostly concerned with his hind's blood because Callisto has it. And
He's
he has
afraid,
witnessed a god be killed, by it.
It's his friend / hench person, Strife. So I'm sure he feels kind of like, oh no, I'm next. I'm next on her shit list.
Exactly.
Yeah. Ares outlines Callisto's plan for taking over the world with her army of worshippers. And Xena's kind of like, then she's coming after you in this way where she's like, yes, that's a good thing. Goodbye. Don't care. Even though Xena totally knows that if Callisto's coming after anybody, it's going to be Xena. That's who
That's
Callisto
true. But I
actually cares about.
I do love that every time time, Ares is like, oh, you gotta help me. We're being threatened. She's like, I don't care.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Yeah, yet he always tries. He always lays out his case.
That's what love is.
This whole two-parter is just a series of him coming up to Xena in various distressed ways, kind of being like, don't you want to help me? Don't you want to help me? I'm on the other side now. Don't you want to help me? You're like, no, dude. Jeez.
All right, so the subtitles say rhythmic drumming.
The boobs are back.
The boobs are back. Trying it again. We're trying that sacrifice one more time, this time on a golf course. It's like a weird outside shot, and the grass is very cut.
Yes, that's the first time I have ever thought that watching this show, where I felt like they were on a mowed lawn, like that was part of a park or something. I don't know what.
I'm sure.
It's just you always feel like they choose their fields and things that they're in, like grass is like overgrown and seems very. This felt like it was tiny grass. It could just be naturally how it is. For all I know, I don't know anything. It just felt like that to me, that they were in like a little park or a little golf course.
Maybe the priests like to keep their area really neat.
So the priest is like, glory to the blood, the rebirth of the goddess, woohoo! And, you know, quote unquote, Seraphin in her mask and her robes goes up on that altar.
Again,
right.
I'm getting some deja vu already this episode.
So when the priest is ready to stab her, oh my god, it's not Seraphin, it's Xena.
Oh, but she grabs the spear out of the guy's hand and then does her little ah! That's how you know it's her.
That's pretty good.
Her cat scream, war cry. I also really love that in the ensuing fight, Xena slowly strips and uses all the pieces of this costume as weapons. Like she's hitting people with the robe. Did she hit him with the mask? You know, I don't remember the mask so much, but definitely the robe, she's like whipping it around.
Callisto shows up, and I love, she's like, not happy to see me, are you? Neither am I, really.
Oh, poor Callisto.
I love Callisto
she's
in this one.
I feel like
she's incredible.
Tops.
I love Hudson watching this episode and the commentary and the video commentary.
Oh, this is where she's like fast forward every
she just
time.
Makes you fast forward when she's not in a scene. It's
good
incredible.
Oh my god, I want that kind of self-confidence.
Sometimes she forgets, and then she's like, "Oh, all right, fast forward."
I love the dudes running away in the background, and then the one guy who you really clearly just see stay and watch.
Right, it's the priest of the blood.
Yes.
But this is a good example of like maybe why you notice the grass, because it's such a wide shot that it like includes so much.
Right.
Like, the camera is static and everything is happening around Callisto in the background. So you're like can't help but notice the weird background people.
And they're all just running in every direction.
They're like willy-nilly going nuts. It's pretty hysterical, actually.
And meanwhile, Callisto and Xena are having this epic flirting contest.
Oh my god,
right.
Good.
Shout out to her friend Ashley who was watching this, and she, as we were laughing at the priest stopping to watch this, she's like, "Oh, he ships them."
I mean, yeah. Again, it me. I'm that pig. I'm that priest.
Callisto, who is a god, who has the powers to, you know, flick her finger and you go flying and then shoot out fireballs from her hands, is like, you know, I keep the sword around for funsies. And proceeds to sword fight with Xena.
And I love that they both pull out their weapons simultaneously, which they always do. I think that's always how it works, because they're that synced up.
I have underlined a note that I must read. It is, faces good right in each other's faces.
Mine is aggressively sexy fight. Because this is where I would describe Callisto's physicality as like that undulating wave against the still rock that is Xena.
I have that in my notes.
Because it's true.
Yeah.
She like rolls over to her and she's like, I don't know if I'm toying with you or you're toying with me.
I have Callisto spinning dervish. Xena steady rock.
No, so
See?
Rock, that's legit.
Yeah.
Xena's face is just incredible here. Like, still is the water, right, that has like that stone underneath.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's it exactly. You know, shimmering on the surface, but so like hard beneath. Yeah.
So Callisto says, "You can't beat me, Xena," with her like cockiness, you know, her usual Callisto-ness.
Yeah, she's loving it at this point.
And then continues with, "You can only delay me.
And she's loving it less.
Her face drops,
She
man.
looks just disgusted.
Oh,
yeah.
I fucking love it.
You
I
really
can't.
feel it.
You really get this character in this episode.
And
It's
she walks
incredible.
away.
Yeah.
That's just it. End of scene.
Yeah.
No more flirting for her.
I know.
The line was good.
No more flirting for you.
Oh no!
Oh, I thought you did that on
shit,
purpose.
I didn't do it on purpose.
Well, it was good anyway.
Okay.
Pin that
I mean,
one.
clearly it's just, it's in my brain.
As Callisto turns to leave, she's like, "Oh yeah," and then throws a fireball at Xena, who jumps away, and then behind her, like literally behind
Like,
her.
literally, yeah. He
Creepy.
was just, like,
Creepy.
standing on her heels.
Yeah, was Ares, and she sets his chest hair on fire. He has to pat it out.
The chest hair is pretty good, I
Yeah.
gotta say. Is this a new Luke? I feel like there's a lot more chest hair than normal. Maybe that's just Kevin Smith's grooming habits.
Yeah,
I don't know.
If the top, like the hair on his head grows bigger, so does the
Yeah, you just
chest
gotta
hair.
balance it all out.
Yeah. So they have a quick fireball fight, and then Callisto grabs the priest who was standing around and GTFOs.
How many times do people GTFO
In this episode?
In both these episodes. I think if you had a drinking contest this episode, and that was something you drank to, you would be so drunk so fast. People are disapparating left
I mean, they're
and right.
gods. What do you expect?
Oh, we gotta talk about how Callisto kisses that. I don't think it's a fireball. Maybe it's like a bolt, like a lightning bolt.
I don't know. It was,
It's
it was like a
white.
little fat ball-shaped
Fat
blob
white ball.
of power.
Yeah, power ball.
She like kisses it and sends it like an air kiss.
It's a really cute little beat.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess she and Ares, I don't exactly remember what happened between them in Hercules, besides obviously the killing of Strife, but they seem really not into each other now. They
Right.
they really are at odds.
Yeah.
Remember when they had sex that one time? That was a while ago.
right.
Right.
All right, so Gabrielle has grabbed Seraphin, and she's like literally like holding her hand over her mouth, dragging her away.
And Gabs is just like, oh my god, girl, you can't really want to be sacrificed to the temple of Callisto.
Yeah, Seraphin. Who's Callisto?
Dun dun dun.
Oh shit, y'all.
I love how fast Xena gets it. She takes one look at the altar and goes, "This is about Dahak. This is about hope."
Right.
All of a sudden, you're like, "What? What? What?"
Yeah, because that's where like suddenly horns. You're just
Yeah.
like seeing them everywhere.
They're everywhere.
This is where I kind of wonder if that would have been clear if you had seen the hope and Dahak
I
stuff
don't
going
think
on.
so. I
You're just supposed to
really
recognize the horns.
I think you're supposed to just get it. I
I
mean, like
getcha.
that's when they literally like show you close-ups of them.
And also, it's clear, I mean, both Gabrielle and Xena are in various ways still obsessed with hope. So I feel like it's very easy for Xena to be like, okay, it's not this person I hate. Go through the list. Oh, list of 2 names. I know who it is.
Speaking of the horns, though, I do love when they do focus on it. There's this really cool shot of them like high up in the sun, just
With Xena standing there. Is that what you're thinking of?
well. This is just the top of the
Oh,
ladder. At
I do know
first,
that
so
one.
Xena might be in it eventually.
Yeah,
but-
yeah. Later it frames it with her, and they're not quite like over her head like her horns, but they're kind of just to the side of her. and
No,
it's
that was what I
very
was talking about. But it
ominous.
was just like an ominous, powerful shot of the horns.
The horns.
I just thought it was really fun because like once you do focus on it, every level of that really like tall altar has little horns on both
Horns.
sides.
Horns
It's, like,
everywhere.
So many horns. So Seraphin's like really smiling and happy, and just like explains about the goddess and how the goddess will bring about all this like peace to the world.
Yeah, she says like the world sucks and maybe it needs whatever Dahaks bring into it, which you're like, oh, that's pretty dark.
I mean, we've heard sort of this rhetoric before in The Deliverer from
The Deliverer.
no. Well, yes.
Craftstar was
Craftstar,
the
that's
Deliverer.
Yes.
But yes, this is very similar rhetoric.
Which is also very classic, like cult brainwashing.
Yeah, and as you recall, in The Deliverer, Craftstar was saying all that stuff to Gabrielle. I mean, not that stuff exactly, but everything about faith and belief, and Gabrielle was loving it. So it's interesting here to have our little pseudo-Gabrielle figure also clearly somebody who needs to believe.
Right.
Who wants that thing, who's been looking for that thing and thinks she's found it in Dahak.
As Gabs takes Seraphin to the side to fill her in on, like, the Rift Arc, basically.
Because Xena pulled a sword on her and was like, your god killed my child. And Seraphin's like, awkward, bye.
Ares shows up and is like, I am going to offer you this huge-ass army to fight Dahak.
This is hysterical because we're still in the same scene that he already dematerialized out of, only to come back a minute later.
Yep.
Xena's like, your army means nothing to me.
And he's like, you're taking it too personally.
Which is a fair point. It's not wrong.
Yeah, I mean, she agrees. She's literally like, yeah.
Yeah, he's right. Taking it personally. Well, I love that first she's like, Ares is right, and Gabs is like, about the army? Are you okay?
Yeah.
And then she's like, anger clouds the mind. What's the Yoda line?
Fear
Anger.
leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate
It
leads to the dark
suffering.
side.
That's suffering.
Oh, suffering. Excuse me. That's not it then. Now I'm doing that same thing.
We all have to sit down and watch Phantom Menace again.
Obviously.
Clearly.
No.
Talk about suffering.
Xena thinks Hope could be vulnerable because she's like, she jumps to like, well, maybe she's going to emerge as like a mortal first.
Yeah, well, she knows, like, it sounds like Hope must be in some kind of weird cocoon, and I can kill a weird cocoon.
How does she know
How does a
that?
weird cocoon fight back? I don't know. She hears
She just
from the way they're
knows.
talking. Well, she needs...
The rebirth.
She needs Callisto to defend her, which implies
That's true, but-
vulnerability.
Okay. So she's like, we got to find out more about this
Weird rebirth
Yeah.
thing. The rebirth is going to happen at a place called the Cave of the Sister Peaks.
This
Are those
is like-
boobs?
Like Twin Peaks.
Yeah, like Twin Peaks?
Obviously, yeah. We never see them because all we do is see the cave set.
It's true. They don't have a
They don't
special
have a
peak
budge.
set.
No, absolutely not. So Callisto takes the priest there. I mean, he is the priest of the blood, but it can't be his blood. It has to be the sacrifice, like Seraphin's
The
blood.
priestess of the
Right,
blood.
exactly.
Yeah, this guy's odd. I didn't quite get this character.
Yeah.
Was he meant to be scary? Was he meant to be sort of like cowering?
I mean, I don't know.
I
yeah.
saw a reference. I think Steve Sears said this, that he was referencing Gollum, which I was like, what? That's an odd
did not
reference
come
point.
across.
I mean, he does speak in the we, which
Right.
Gollum does.
That's like the,
The
only
the
thing.
royal we, otherwise
I
known as the
guess
Gollum
He
we.
had short hair, like Gollum.
He liked food.
He did. It wasn't a fish, though.
No, I was puzzling.
Then we have a scene with Ares, and he meets up with a warrior, and he's like, this is him gathering the army, the greatest army to ever assemble.
Spectacular filming location for this on that riverbed that we've seen before.
Right.
Mostly in Callisto episodes. It was fun to see it just for this one little shot. But this scene is interrupted or punctuated, I guess, by a thing.
Well, first, the soldier himself is like, but
Dahak is his daughter.
I can't do it.
What?
The dude was scared of
What did you
Dahak
say?
and his daughter, more scared of them than of Ares, god of war, which is very important, I guess.
Yeah, Ares takes that as a big diss.
Yeah, it was huge.
And yeah, then a fireball appears behind him, which we don't see, but he kind of turns around being
Well, that's
like,
the eyebrow turnaround. That's very good.
That's true. Kevin Smith is having a lot of fun this episode.
But this was scary, I guess, to him. A big old fireball.
Well, first to be dissed, and then to clearly have some kind of
Yeah.
terrifying manifestation.
He has been made small.
He has been made small. Smaller. He was already pretty small.
So Gabs and Seraphin are reminiscing about their childhood.
Remember?
When we used to sit around, like, what was their story? They didn't
Swimming
do
in
anything.
a river.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they would disobey their parents and go swim in a river.
And this is where she would lose her hat that Purd would, like, pick up. Remember his
Oh,
story
that
about
story. And I was thinking of Flora's story with Xena pushing her out of a tree.
that? Well, Gabs did not commit any such violence.
No, but she
towards
just
Seraphin.
disobeyed the parents because they were the sort of little girls who didn't want anyone telling them what to do.
Right, well, and she's making the point that they used to be, independent and free thinking, and now this girl has basically been brainwashed, and Gabrielle is all, what happened to that person?
What happened to my friend? She has quite a line, Seraphin, defending her belief system. She says, yes, I know that people are going to die, but it's for the greater good. This is just like, she is quoting Gabs' life philosophy back at her, but
Right.
in this twisted form.
She also says that this cult or Dahak has a plan, a very powerful force that she's following around with a plan. Who else is that? That's Xena.
Oh. And there too, I mean, Xena does violence, but it's for the greater good.
Yeah.
You could say these things to Gabrielle. People are going to die. Xena kills people.
This is where they talk about the destroyer.
Yes.
Right.
The bringer of the destroyer will wash the land of its sins. The lion will lay down with the lamb and the other things from Revelations, which this is clearly based on.
Yeah, lots of scary weird
apocalypse
stuff.
And she's like, let the goddess hope touch your soul.
Mm-hmm.
And Gabrielle
Okay.
has a response to that. She says she already has. She's my kid.
I love Seraphin's reaction to this. She's shocked, for sure.
Yeah.
But also just kind of like, you?
I know. Her? Yeah.
Really?
But then, I mean, she, it takes her a hot minute, but she gets to the place. Where she's,
Oh, for sure.
like,
No,
of
she
course.
gets really on board this
course,
idea.
yeah.
And of course, doesn't this add to Seraphin's specialness? Her childhood best friend is the mother of the goddess.
And now she's the priestess of the blood. Of course, together they will both birth
Bring
her.
the, yes.
Yeah.
Before we leave the scene, I just wanted to mention that I love how mad Gabrielle is about Seraphin using the greater good.
Yeah.
Because she just is like, don't talk to me about that. You have no idea what you're talking about. It's just really good that she reacts that way.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. That's pure Gabrielle. And it shows that she's, she is not drinking this Kool-Aid, even though it sounds a lot like Kool-Aid she used to drink. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, because, Seraphin is like Gabrielle at a certain stage in the past. So now she has experienced all the things that came after that.
Yeah,
And,
she can look back at that past self and be like, no.
Right. In the cave, we see a skeleton that has no skin. And now our cocoon pumpkin,
It's covered with some nice chicken bits.
Got the skin on there.
It looks a bit like one of the eggs from Alien. That I think, like a giant alien egg.
sure.
That was definitely something
Yeah.
they must have been thinking
it's
of.
breathing, though. Like, that's
Yes,
the thing.
it pulses.
Right, yes. So, yeah, it was really funny because, like, she made it out of the flesh of the priest of the flesh.
What is his name?
Oh, my God.
Jaclia?
John, what? Jaclia?
Janet.
Janet.
Jiggly? Janice?
No, that is...
We were like,
Anyway.
what are these names? And then it was like, oh, it's the priest of the
This
flesh
is
name.
where I keep saying it's hard to follow all this stuff. Anyway, his flesh cocoon.
Yes. Callisto wants the priest of the blood to speak to the cocoon.
So how do they do that?
How does he speak to it?
Yeah.
I don't know. He has
Okay.
the powers.
He lays hands upon it.
Right.
And that seems to be part of it.
For some reason, I guess maybe because he's priest of the blood, it speaks to
It's
him.
irrelevant.
It's irrelevant. Literally, I don't know
It's
why this
curious.
guy is here. Like, Callisto could have just
this
been
is so
talking
odd.
to this.
Yeah, I mean, she was talking to it in the previous
Yeah.
scene, but I guess she couldn't hear anything in response.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't mention it, but I love how she was like, I should have been your mother.
Oh, what? I mean, no, that's the scene.
Oh, okay.
That is the scene. Yeah, I mean, here is the scene where she kind of lays out, if you didn't realize, what it is she actually needs from Hope.
Right.
Which is, she needs it all to stop. She needs oblivion. No memories, no Tartarus, nothing.
Yeah, and the priest, like, listens to this and is like, oh, you want to die?
He's so freaked out by it. He's
Yeah.
like, what? What's wrong with you?
Right, yeah. And she's like, yep.
Yeah. So then she dismisses him and has this little moment with the cocoon. And it's quite striking.
Yeah.
I mean, I love how it's shot. Her kind of kneeling in front of it, and they're both bathed with light. Cocoon is slimy. Callisto looks almost angelic. And she has this line about, you should have been my child.
Yeah.
Which I've always felt weird about them pushing Callisto as a parent.
Right.
Considering that line she had back in Return of Callisto about reproduction. But I do love this line. I love her as the other, what Hope could have been, bad mom and good mom or something. It is interesting.
What Hope could have been.
Well, Hope has a mother who's a good person.
Right,
like,
but Hope
Callisto.
turned out pretty bad.
Yeah.
So with Callisto, she would have been good.
Maybe it would have been even worse. You gotta think of that.
Yeah, but I mean, like, to me, it's always, like, these are, you know, life choices that Callisto would have made if not for Xena burning Sierra down when she was small and making her Callisto.
I love the interpretation that Callisto could have been a Gabrielle. That's the life she misses and yearns for on some level.
We should just talk about a little bit more about how she yearns for oblivion.
Right.
In this world where there are so many things that are real.
Mm-hmm. All the, like, places
you know,
go.
Xena is obviously striving for one particular thing. And I love that Callisto is just like, I would like nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing sounds good.
She's like a total nihilist.
Yeah.
She's just
Well, she's died and gone to Tartarus, and that was not fun.
she
experienced
knows.
that.
Yeah.
She knows that the afterlife
Yeah.
isn't a great place for her. But you're right, there's something interesting that this is somebody who's kind of almost like denying religion, even though she is a god. And
Right?
Yeah. It's a little brain breaking that way.
Cocoon agrees.
Maybe she's looking around at what's happening and being like, you know what?
This is not for me. This is a conversation now between Xena and Gabrielle. All the neighboring villages are draining of people as they sign up for the
Hot new cult in town.
cult in town.
Disciples, they're calling themselves.
Because everybody's very poor and disillusioned, and I guess this looks good to them. I would have liked a little more in this episode to explain how is Dahak recruiting people. It seems like it could have been good if it's like, oh, the warlords are, you know, taxing us and draining us. Like, Craftstar kind of made the case in his way for why he was attracted to it, that story about the warlord.
Yes.
I kind of missed the actual sense of why these people are becoming mindless zombies.
Well, that was special.
Yeah.
That's upcoming and it's a little special. But like they are joining the cult. I think didn't Xena say something about how like their class level? Like,
I mean,
issues
it's definitely
with poverty.
something. Yeah, it's definitely poverty, but you feel like they're just kind of hand waving it like poverty. You don't really see that.
You need another think piece about Middle Greece and who they're voting for.
Yep. Yeah, what's Middle Greece up to here?
Okay.
So Xena needs to take out Callisto before they can get to Hope, and warns Gabrielle not to trust Seraphin because she belongs to Hope now.
Xena has this very important line that she delivers to Gabs in this scene about Seraphin, where she says, "That's the thing about people. Just when you think you've got them figured out, they show a completely different side of their character. What does it mean? Who's this really about?"
Who is it about?
I don't know. You could look backwards and see it as being about the journey that Gabrielle and Xena have gone on this season, where they have seen different sides of each other's character.
It's also herself, I guess, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Xena.
I think in a way it's foreshadowing like what's going to happen at the end of this episode, that Gabrielle is going to surprise Xena in a way that Xena is not anticipating herself.
But that's not like a different side of her character.
We've always known that side was there.
An example is Xena was a warlord, then she's like, I don't want to do this anymore. That's a new side of her character.
That's true. So you think Xena's just speaking from experience?
Yeah, but you can't just like throw a line like that for no reason. It has to also be about somebody from these episodes.
It definitely felt so weighted. I was like, whoa, what's gonna happen?
I kind of want it to be about Callisto.
I do too. I mean, it never quite is.
It never quite is.
Yeah.
I mean, spoilers for very much later dealings between Xena and Callisto. Xena does something that was really unexpected. For Callisto later.
Yeah.
So it's always Xena. I guess Xena always talks about herself.
Yeah. I mean, Xena is the
star of the show.
I mean, Gabrielle obviously in season 3 has done things that have surprised herself and us, but you feel like, her core isn't very changeable.
Yeah.
Like, she is who she is. Whereas Xena, I think, is always surprising herself with what she can do.
Right, because she thinks the lowest of herself.
Yeah.
So she shows up at the cave and, standoff.
Excuse me.
Yes.
You skipped over how Xena does a little shoulder grab. Gabs, and is
I'm
like,
so happy that my notes are like, this is the exposition.
This is the plot.
And Katie's like, shoulder grab at minute, this and this and this.
she's a little, okay.
Actually, my notes say, I am Seraphin in this scene. She's just sitting behind them, creepily staring. Just like sitting there,
Oh my God.
patiently smiling. That's me.
Oh gosh.
That is also me.
So that character has reached the like point where she's into Gabs being.
Yeah. And now
Mama
Gabs
Hope.
is, she's like fangirling from the
Right.
sidelines.
So anyway, Xena versus Callisto in the cave. Let's do this.
Yes.
Callisto's like, yeah, you want me to use my powers in this cave? Look at all these rocks.
Oh, so meta. Callisto.
Gotta use my sword again.
Callisto knows this show does stupid things with rocks to her all the time. Does it make it better that it's about to do stupid things with rocks
I
to her?
know. Well, first, Xena cuts her hand off.
That was cool.
That was cool.
That was shocking.
Yeah. She grows it right back. It's not a big deal. She also gets stabbed. Not a big deal.
Yeah, I love that she's just like, ouch, that hurts. Or don't do that. That's what she says. Don't do that.
Right. And then Xena kind of like runs out of the cave and Callisto follows outside of the cave. She's totally free to use her powers.
Yeah, she's outside the cave. There are no rocks.
Yeah.
Or are there?
Yeah, you don't see the hilariously perfectly stacked rocks
Like right behind her.
And she's like, okay, I can use my powers now. Can you say nighty night? And then she like throws the fireball and Xena whips out a shield.
Yeah, that we've seen earlier.
Right, she was like
they
checking it
planted
out.
that. Yeah.
And so she takes the shield out, like deflects it, and then it deflects into another
shield and another shield. Like Xena has rigged this up
Yeah.
because she knew she was gonna lure
Yeah.
Callisto out of
It was
this
like a
cave.
fireball.
I mean, it shows how
deflection
well Xena knows Callisto,
chakram.
which I always like seeing evidence of how well she can predict her.
Yeah.
But
And
it was still real silly.
those rocks fall right on top of her. Now, there was an interview with Steve Sears, and they were like, LOL, rocks again. And he had this like intense, response being like, yes, it's all about the earth taking out these gods. Like the earth can do that.
Oh my god. I mean, on the one hand, I feel like Steve Sears, he has thought through everything in his scripts.
Oh my
Whenever you
God.
read an interview with him, he just has an answer for everything, which I totally respect.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
Yeah.
no.
Callisto
No, Steve.
is under those rocks for now.
Buried under the goodness of Mother Earth.
And then Xena goes, nighty night.
Oh, I mean, honestly, that line almost made this ridiculous sequence worth it.
They have such good lines at each other.
They do. They always do.
So many.
Yeah. There's so many good zingers.
That oh goody earlier.
Oh,
That was a good one.
yes.
Xena's hair, I need to mention, side braids with bangs, the best. I love it.
Yeah, the side braids is like maybe my favorite
Oh my
Xena
God.
look.
And doesn't Gabrielle kind of have them too, but then with this like kind of like up
Her hair's very
top?
poofy.
Yeah, it's got a little poof. I
Yeah.
don't mind the poof.
No,
I think it's her
cute.
party look. Which is weird
her
in this
party.
episode.
Xena runs back into the cave and she's gonna kill that Hope cocoon.
Oh yeah, get that cocoon, girl, get it.
But suddenly,
But just then, get your shot ready. Somebody dematerializes with the cocoon. It's Aries. What the fuck's he doing? He's switched sides.
And he takes it, so you can take another shot.
Yes.
Back at the fangirl club, Seraphin is like totally reciting all the, scripture they know about Hope's mother. Like they've heard of her. But
She's
they're not,
known as the betrayer.
Yeah, they're not allowed to say her name.
That's ironic because the rift.
I think that's might be my favorite line delivery of hers because it's so accenty. And she's just like, I didn't know it was you. Like, it was just like, I don't know. It's just really funny. We're not allowed to say her name, so.
Yeah.
It's also so sad because she refers to her as the one who selfishly killed her own daughter.
Right,
when that's
selfishly.
the most selfless thing Gabrielle has
Yes.
ever done.
Yeah.
But it all makes sense to her now that she's Gabrielle's kid, because she's like the balance between good and evil, and then she's born of good. So
And
blah, blah,
Dahak,
blah.
we're told, not evil, he's just a harsh dad. He's a little
my God.
strict.
That was the worst. I was like, oh.
Girl!
Oh my God.
So yeah, I did. You know, she's basically shaming her
Yes.
for not. And this is again. I'm going to bring it up again. I really wish this stuff was ambiguous. I really wish you truly believed what if Gabrielle had raised hope was a thing, but by having her be this baby murderer, they took all that away, and I think that was a mistake.
Listen, here I was on board this conversation. I really believe
I
that.
didn't believe it.
Well, she's like, what is
I know.
Seraphin doing? She is undoing all the work that Xena did.
That's true. To
convince.
She's trying to.
Right, but like right now, like what the words that are coming out of her mouth are all the things that are trying to undo all these episodes that we've seen of Xena convincing Gabrielle that her fucking kid is the worst.
Right.
She even has an answer to, your baby killed people. She's like, well, babies do that kind of thing,
Yeah,
don't
they don't know. They don't know.
She's her baby.
I just think at this point, and it's clear throughout parts 1 and 2 that like Gabrielle knows better at this point. Like
guess,
she's
but I
never
feel-
gonna be like completely tricked.
Don't you think though?
Or not tricked, but like she's never gonna get to that level again.
I was worried that she would. That's
You're supposed
the thing.
to be worried that yes, that's
You know,
absolutely
like-
what
And
you're
this
supposed
one
to.
moment where she really comes at her, Seraphin, and says, like, I can see in your eyes, you've changed. Like, that scared me. I was like, oh my God, do I see it in her eyes?
Yeah.
She does look kind of stricken.
And all Gabrielle ever needed was somebody who was the good angel on her shoulder, being like, "Oh, she's fine. Like she's just your daughter." Xena would be like the bad one. Seraphin, whose
How
name
could she be evil? She's your daughter.
Right.
It's like the opposite. It's like you say, Vera. It's literally the opposite of what Xena loves to say. She's not that of evil. She's not your daughter.
I know, and Gabrielle always needs this. And Seraphin, whose name is literally like angel, right? So she's like the angel right now on her shoulder.
But is it a good angel or a bad angel? I think we know which.
Yeah, we know which one. But I mean, technically, she's like as a person, she's fine. She's not an evil person. She just is a completely, running with the wrong crowd.
Yeah, for sure.
So
as
yes,
wrong as it gets.
Right now, I was worried for Gabrielle to fall for it again. I honestly was. Xena comes back and she tells the girls that Ares has hope.
Right, they have to go to the
halls of war, the safest place he knows.
What is this place?
I have no idea.
It seems like a museum.
Maybe it was on Hercules.
War?
I assumed that it was on Hercules.
Yes. Yeah,
Oh, okay, that's a
it.
good assumption. We'll
Yeah.
take that. We'll assume.
Somebody will correct us.
But yeah, once we see it, that seems to be what it is. It's just a big mansion full of weapons.
There's a scene between
Him and
Ares
Hope.
and Hope. He basically tells Cocoon Hope to get Xena off his back because she's after him.
When Xena wants to kill someone, she kills them.
Right. So how does Hope do this? She sends
The living dead.
the living dead, the disciples that have been flocking towards the cult to become literal zombies.
Yeah, this is where I get confused because I'm like, is this devotion or is this mind control?
I think it's
There's
mind
a
control.
difference. Yeah.
No, those people were zombie walking, saying, "The blood, read the blood."
Well,
Give
why
me
were
the
they
brains."
saying? Were they saying priest of the blood or bring me?
Bring me,
Bring
bring the
me?
blood, because
Okay.
they need Seraphin.
Yeah.
So, Yeah.
Bring. I was like, why are they saying priest? I don't get it.
ooh, maybe they were saying priestess.
No. Oh, priestess,
Priestess
of the blood.
the
yeah.
blood.
Because they want. I got it.
Yeah, they want Seraphin. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're hiding. Gabrielle and her are hiding inside this little hut.
Little log cabin out
Yeah.
of a zombie movie.
It was really scary.
It was scary. You see the arms breaking through the walls and
Yeah.
reaching for them.
I thought it was a really cool idea to do this. It was really unexpected. And then Xena kind of gets into the hut to save them. They go.
How does she get into the hut, Vera? She comes right through the roof, just
Right.
like torpedo.
And then, that's exactly how they're gonna leave.
And they torpedo
rocket
out.
Yeah. So they fly out, and she has to punch out Seraphin, who does not want to go.
Oh, that's so funny when Seraphin's just like, no, leave me here. And Xena just kind of pauses for a moment, gathers her energies, and is just thwack.
Yeah. So she punches her out and flies out of there with her. And as they fly through, we're back outside looking into the hut from outside, there's a very specific extra that is very noticeable. It's like guys in, black outfits, and then there's like this one girl with blonde hair, a braid in the back, hair. And a big old blue peasant-y outfit.
And the skirt.
Yeah, of course. The whole outfit from
Gabrielle's
season 1
outfit.
Zombie Gabs.
Mm-hmm.
What does it mean, you guys? What's she doing here?
I think this is a very amazing little detail. Like, that really did not have to be here, but it just goes back to the thing where, Gabrielle obviously literally could have gone to this place as Seraphin has. But to me, it's just another representation that she is following her own cult, the cult of Xena.
Yeah, and I think in this funhouse mirror where we're seeing all these different versions of Gabs, who Gabs is, who Gabs could be, who Gabs definitely is not, this is an important little ghost to see for an instant. Zombie Gabs.
Right. And then again, this is almost the, season finale of this big season that so much has happened to Gabrielle. And I still think that maybe we're reading too much into this, but
I love it.
But
do it.
To
this
me,
is what we're here for.
Yes.
Analyze the Hades, girl.
Right. So this extra that they threw in here.
It's no way they just. Yeah, they wouldn't throw on Gabrielle's clothes.
Yeah. How do you do that? How do you do that?
Well, it's fascinating. I don't think it was in the script. It was a choice from the director.
Seems like just a little detail. Yeah.
But it means so much. And as I was saying, this was a season that Gabrielle literally went through the most she's ever gone through and fundamentally changed as a human being. And the fact that this zombie Gabs is part of this cult is, again, maybe you're supposed to go, hey, is her following Xena around a good thing?
No.
Isn't because that's the cult she's in. I'm just really attached to
the
that.
The same cult we're in.
Yeah.
The Xenites.
Anyway, I loved
season 4.
This.
I'm excited. Oh, shit.
I loved having this tiny thing mean so much. That's all.
She is a tiny thing. You're right.
Yes.
So now we have a pretty intense scene, or so it appears, but also it actually is a really intense scene.
This is the one that starts with the almost Caesar music cue.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Slightly
I think because they're approaching this halls of war and that cue kind of sounds like an army.
Yeah.
So,
it's
a little confusing because we so closely associate it with Caesar. You're like, oh my God, he's the only person missing.
I know. I mean, if he showed up too, it'd be like, this is too much.
That's the kitchen sink right there.
So Gabrielle starts doubting that Hope's evil. What if the rebirth makes her good?
What if?
But honestly, that's a good question. You don't know.
Having these thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, a rebirth does imply a new start. Yeah.
And Xena's not having it, and she plays the Solon card. She's like,
Do you think that's a card?
Yeah. That's because any fucking time they have an argument, she could always be like, your fucking kid killed my kid.
I mean, that wins.
That would shut it down. Yeah. And it does kind of shut it down here. I love her. Don't you dare defend Hope to me. Ooh, it's vicious. So then Xena stalks off, leaving Gabs with Seraphin, and Seraphin goes to town. Seraphin's like, oh, good. She's mine now.
Yeah, and Gabrielle lets her go.
She unties her and not only lets her go, says warn her.
Right.
I am sure that a bunch of people watching who were really, really displeased with Gabrielle's actions back in the day were just livid in this moment with her making this choice.
Yeah, again, oh my God. Yeah, I love that she's tell her mother loves her. I think that was really important. Mm-hmm. And
probably sincere.
Yeah, this is this is why this scene is so good, because so much of this is halvesies.
It doesn't last very long because it's immediately a trick, and Xena comes out being like, that was really good.
You almost convinced me.
You almost convinced me, which is,
I mean, some of it's
because the best lies are packed with truth.
Yeah, these are the real feelings. She wishes maybe she could still feel this thing she's pretending now to feel.
Maybe if Seraphin had delivered that line that her mother loves her, maybe things would be different in the next season.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I mean, we're going to talk about it in part 2, but there's a tragedy happening here, for sure. So now Ares tells Hope that he has a card up his sleeve.
Card of his own to play.
Which is like, oh, what could it possibly
that
be?
Even Xena won't see coming. I was like, oh my god, what is it?
And he's right. He actually does have one.
He grabs Gabrielle and takes a shot.
This is great. I mean, yeah, he apparates with her god. But I love this shot of him grabbing her from behind. It is actually extra shocking. Like, you see Xena stride off, Gabrielle's following, and then just grabbed. It was scary.
He takes her to the Fates in their house.
Little Fate's house.
And calls in the favor that Gabrielle owes him from...
the debt. He says, you and I have a debt from the debt. The episode The Debt.
Absolutely.
Our debt. Is the debt actually Gabrielle's debt to him? Are we actually rewriting
now we are.
the title of The Debt to mean that?
Yes.
Oh, we had got a comment, and we did not unpin the fact that all that stuff with Ares and her, like, guilt and stuff, we talked about it obviously a lot in Forget Me Not, but we didn't unpin how, like, she could run through the waterfall. Yeah.
Yes.
So
in Bittersweet.
Yeah.
So how can she? Because she doesn't remember it.
Because she doesn't remember. So I feel like we did talk about it, but we just forgot to unpin it. So
Okay.
I'm, like, retroactively unpinning it.
Okay,
from
you're...
Forget Me Not.
Yeah, you pinned the fact that we didn't pin it, and now you're unpinning it.
Yeah.
And you're unpinning it.
Yes.
All right.
And narratively, I'm glad that, like, this factors into the finale in such a huge way, as part of the structure of the season, instead of just something that, like, they said that they would bring back and then bring back, like, randomly later.
Yeah.
When they're like, oh, remember we did that? No, it, like, is actually huge.
It's maybe the hugest thing. It's the one kind of dangling thread out of the rift that now Ares can pull.
Yeah.
And that's funny that I used that metaphor because we're full of threads here in the Fates house. He explains, I'm not sure how his logic makes sense here. It's a little bit confusing, but he explains that because of this debt, he has struck a deal with the Fates that if Xena kills Hope, they will cut her thread. But I don't quite understand the logic of why.
I know. And he's like, I have the right to ask this. And they're like, yes, you do.
You do. Maybe it's just because he's God of War. They owed him a favor. Gabs owes him a favor. Everybody owes him.
He's just collecting on
so
everyone.
he can kind of stack events however he likes.
Do you think the line, I have the right to ask this, is in there because it's, like, a little shaky?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so, too.
It's very shaky. He just kind of declares this, like, Xena will die, and you're like, but will she? Why? So this is pretty clever. He's recruiting Gabrielle to help him.
Well, Gabrielle first thinks that it's her thread, and she's, like, totally willing to cut it. You know, she's like, I don't care. Yeah, this is perfect, like, as long as Hope doesn't come back and, like, destroy the world. And he's like, no, it's not yours. It's Xena's.
He takes her hand and puts it on the thread, and she feels that it's Xena.
You can hear the heartbeat.
Oh, yes, you hear the heartbeat.
It's so good.
It's so good.
It's wonderful. What does she see? Does she just... What is the sensory thing that happens?
That's a good question. Is there a fake?
Yeah, that's a fic right there.
So, meanwhile, Callisto busts out of her dumb rocks, just as Seraphin comes near Hope's cocoon.
So she's, like, walking all scary.
Yeah, she's out of some movie.
About to sacrifice herself.
Definitely felt like a movie.
Yeah, I mean, the priest is about to stab her with this, like, knife, and then
This
Xena...
is the third time someone is about to stab, quote-unquote, Seraphin. You're actually Seraphin.
Xena chakrams the dagger, like, takes the blade off, and then, you know, there's a fight with, like, the lackeys, and Seraphin tries to, like, kill herself with that blade.
Yeah, she grabs this broken section, and you're like, oh, shit! But she takes 15 minutes just ever so slowly rotating it towards her, and eventually Xena notices. Xena goes after the head priest, Gollum priest, and Seraphin kind of jumps between them, going, no, Xena! And the priest stabs her.
In the back.
In the back.
Like, in the side.
Or,
from the back,
Yeah.
And she falls and, like, looks at her hand, like her bloody hand, and then butts it right on that cocoon.
Just rub it in there real good. Really moisturize it.
Jesus. Is the music?
Oh, it's good.
It's really good. Is it the same in part 2? I have to reconfirm.
Remember. It's definitely. I
It's
made a
so
mental
good.
note
Yeah.
watching where I was like, "This is the best fight scene of the episode. Why?" And then my brain said, "Because of this music." And I was like, "Oh yeah, you're right, brain." I mean that's the thing with Xena fights. Like they often are kind of the same moves, the same combination of stuff. You see like stab, you see kicks.
Well, there's a lot of
Sometimes
simultaneous stuff happening in this fight.
That's
like
true. The crawling
yeah.
is what's important.
Plot is happening.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's like she crawls towards the cocoon. Like you're like, oh no, she's gonna do it because no one's paying attention to her to stop her. Yeah. And then like Callisto apparates in.
Literally just to watch everything and laugh. She's
yeah.
the peanut gallery here.
And then the cocoon starts freaking out. It starts busting open.
It's busting up some moves.
Yeah, and Xena wants to stab it quick.
Yeah.
But she gets fucking like tackled.
By Gabs.
The smallest little tackler.
Knocks her right over.
Really cute. I love the way she grabs her on the back. Oh, that's totally irrelevant.
No, it's pretty relevant.
To the scene.
It's pretty relevant.
Yeah.
And of course,
it's pretty relevant.
You got to think of it from Xena's perspective. She thinks, oh my God, Gabrielle's switched sides too.
Yeah, I love the way she's just like, what do you think here? And then gets cut off.
Yes, because too much is going on.
Right.
Too much.
The rebirth is upon us.
What do we think of these effects? The woman inside the cocoon.
Alien.
Yeah,
Alien 4.
But also, I don't know, some kind of weird modern dance thing. You see this sort of like female figure gyrating out.
Oh man, I did not think that.
I didn't think that either. I thought Alien for sure.
Just the tactile experience of this.
The milk.
Everything about it is amazing.
The milkiness.
That like membrane she has to bust out of.
Yeah.
It's like I love practical effects horror, but at the same time, it's the worst. Because it just really gets to you. The noises and the...
Yeah, and there's like a moment where her face is just smushed up against the membrane. Like her nose is weird.
Which is great because, I think... Like when I first saw this, I didn't immediately recognize her because she's so contorted in the face area.
Right, it's like putting the stocking over your head and robbing a bank.
Yeah, it was doing that, and like I was watching this, being like, "Which actress is this? I know this is gonna be somebody,
Yeah, who did they cast as Hope?
Well, I think you guys tricked me because I was like, "Oh, Hope's gonna come back as an adult. Who do they get to do that?" And you were like, "Oh, just you wait." And I was like, "Oh, is it somebody?"
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be some great actress from the '90s, and it is
righto. It's exactly Renee O'Connor.
But
she
with
is
eyebrows.
But with eyebrows.
Without the guys
to 11.
The eyebrows are the greatest thing.
It's magic.
It literally changes her
whole face.
I'm
it's
obsessed
a different
with
face.
them.
How do they do that?
What a genius move.
Have they been on her face all along? It's like I've never seen this face before.
Yeah. They're mainly like covered in bangs.
That's true. They're mainly covered in bangs.
Here the bangs are.
I just haven't known she had eyebrows until this moment.
They're just wonderful. I could spend like another hour just talking about her eyebrows.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, what a stare.
Her Hope physicalities were so good. I mean, we haven't gotten to it really yet, but...
Yeah, but just this still
But the eyebrows
smirk.
are part of it.
Yeah, the eyebrows you just immediately notice.
I think they're like the number one part of it, honestly.
Yeah, that is the performance.
Because if you have not evil eyebrows, she could be just mad Gabrielle.
Maybe a little hangry.
Yeah, very hangry Gabs.
But those eyebrows.
Hangry and sleepy and like poor.
Right, all the worst things for Gabs.
Exactly.
That's Gabs from the, what is it, the alternate dimension.
Right.
The darkest timeline Gabs. So, okay, everybody's reaction to the fact that Hope looks just like Gabrielle. There are a few. I like that Gabrielle, I think, realizes it first. It's hard to say. She definitely has this long reaction where she almost like squints in confusion. So
She's like, is that me?
I think she knows it first. Then Callisto
has the best one.
Yeah.
One of many great Callisto laughs in these episodes.
But then it's upsetting.
Yeah.
Yeah, then it ends on Gabrielle looking at Xena, and we end on Xena, which I had mixed feelings about. I mean, she's the star of the show, and she's really pretty in this shot, but I sort of didn't like that the camera left Gabs in this final moment. I was like, shouldn't Gabs be
getting that reaction?
Getting this, the camera should end on her. Like, she feels like the most important person in this moment, you know?
Should zoom in on her eyebrows.
Or maybe, I mean, I would be okay with the shot of both of them, Gabs and Xena, but the fact that the camera kind of deliberately frames her out, I was like, wait!
Don't you remember, Olivia?
I want to look at her!
Don't you remember? Hope killed Selene.
Well, I mean, now you have Xena who just very single-mindedly wants to kill Hope.
Yeah.
Because Hope killed her son. Hope is evil. That one time she was like, shut up, Aries. Hope must die. Now looks like Gabrielle.
Yes,
I mean, that's a
true.
pickle. She said that sucks for her.
That does suck.
But there is still another Gabrielle that's right there, so it shouldn't technically be that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Like,
and she also has those eyebrows that change her entire face.
Exactly.
Right, and then obviously, like, the behind all that is that she's out of the cocoon now. Like, maybe she's less vulnerable. Like, how am I going to kill her now?
No, this sucks. This is exactly the fate they were trying to prevent, and they have failed.
Failure.
Cue part 2.
Oh, boy.
Oh, my goodness. Well, we won't know what happens until next week.
Yeah, we are a 2-parter, so you have to wait a week to find out what Xena Warrior Podcast thinks of Xena Warrior Princess. We like her.
Spoilers.
Overall, part 1 thoughts?
I liked it a lot. I feel like for me, the confusion of the plot wasn't really that confusing at the end, you know, in the long run. Like, you just, like, let it wash over you.
A lot of it ends up being inconsequential.
Yeah.
Where your focus is.
All those priests of the blood and the flesh.
It just doesn't matter later. It just does not matter.
And, like, stuff that, you know, I would just kind of glaze over, just watching it normal, like, watching it, like, intensely, you know, I appreciate much more. Like, I appreciated the comparison between Seraphin and Gabrielle. Like, Seraphin, my first viewing was like, oh gosh,
get rid of this girl.
Why are you here? So much is happening with her. But now I'm like, okay, I get it. I see what it is. I like, I don't know if I say I like it, but I appreciate it. For me, it was like all Callisto all the time. Like, this was an incredible Callisto episode. From the little bit you saw, you know.
No, she's not in it very much, but boy, these moments.
But, like, I liked it more than the last time we saw her, you know? Like,
I mean, there she really was second fiddle, whereas here she has her own plot line, and you feel the importance of it throughout.
And as far as Hope, me personally, I prefer Hope in the form of a cocoon that has, like, Renee O'Connor grunting noises.
Oh my God.
And then actual Renee O'Connor with the eyebrows to, like, weird child with crazy hair.
Oh my gosh, we do not miss the weird child. No.
So, yes, please, to this Hope.
Well, I like it, definitely. I think when we talk about part 2, I'll talk more about kind of comparing the 2 parts, because they are written by different people and they're put together very differently. I think this one is pretty well constructed, considering it's kind of like the same thing over and over again.
Well, you know, I think it's really cool because you're talking about her sacrifice attempts.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think it was necessary because every time you're like, oh my God, is it going to happen now? Is it going to happen now?
That's true.
And then it finally does.
Yeah, it finally, the third time's a charm kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I was frustrated by that and frustrated by, oh, look, a fight between Xena and priests. You know, this episode's interesting because it has a couple of Callisto fights. It has these priest fights. Everything kind of comes in 2s and 3s. And, like, it is an escalation. Like, each time these things happen, it's, like, better than the last time.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, why, like, I like this construction. In part 2, I have more problems with the way things tend to replicate.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll get into that conversation next time.
All right. Well, until then, follow us on all the things.
Yeah, XenaWarriorPodcast.com, our official website, has all of the places in one stop. You can listen to stuff, you can follow us, find links to everything there. We are doing so many fun things on Patreon. you go to Patreon and search for Xena Warrior Podcast, or go directly to patreon.com/Xena Warrior Podcast. We are on Apple Podcasts. We always love to hear from you over there. If you are enjoying the podcast and want to leave a review or stars, that would be awesome. You can subscribe. We are doing all the fun tweets on the tweeting thing. Twitter is at, what is it? Xena Warrior Pod. And we're on Facebook and Tumblr, Xena Warrior Podcast.
The power.
The passion.
The podcast.